today's video is probably going to get a bit spicy, so get some tea because I'm gonna spill some tea. So in today's video, we are doing my bookish hot takes. So these are some things that are my opinions to do with the bookish community, and I do want to preface this by saying these are my opinions. If you disagree, that's fine, but let's just be kind, okay? Without further ado, grab a drink, grab a snack, preferably a tea because we're going to spill some tea, and let's get into the video. I have a list on my phone that we're going to talk about, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. My first one that I have on my list is not every fantasy series needs to be a 10-book series. Don't get me wrong, I love reading really long series. I love getting invested in a world, but sometimes a duology or a trilogy is perfectly acceptable for a series. I think sometimes authors get stuck in this, I need to make it really big, like Throne of Glass or ACOTAR, or even the Empyrean series, which is going to be, you know, five books long. Some series don't need to be that long. I think a really great example of a fantasy trilogy, even though I haven't finished the trilogy yet, is the Souls trilogy by Harley LaRue. I know that's kind of like a paranormal sort of romance, but it definitely has some fantasy elements in it as well. But I think that's a great, I've only got one book left in that series and it's fantastic, you know, just being a 3-book series. What is it? The Letters of Enchantment duology by Rebecca Ross. I think that's brilliant on its own. I don't think it needed to be any longer than 2 books. I think it's fantastic as the 2 books, and it definitely doesn't need to be any bigger than that. Another series that, yes, it's 4 books, but it fits for the story, is the Cursed Fae series by Leah Stone and Julie Hall. I think that that is, you know, it was perfect. They're 4 really short books. They're interconnected standalones, you know, they're all under 400 pages. And I think that that worked really well. I don't think that every series needs to be a massive series. However, there is some series that really work for that do work as being, you know, a 10-book series, but some of those series have a little bit too much fluff in them and they don't need to be that long. Sue me. My next hot take is reading a book just for the spice is totally fine. I am a girl, I love both. Don't get me wrong, I love a really heavy plot line, but I also love really intense spice, and I love books that are just smart. I think it's totally fine. If you want to read a book for the plot and the plot is the spice, go for it. But don't try and sell that book as, oh, it's got such a good plot line, when the plot line is the male appendage that we're exploring and visiting, okay? I absolutely love, you know, pure smutty books. I was actually having this conversation with Book Bestie earlier about Court of the Vampire Queen. We were saying that that is a very heavily smut book, but it's still got really great plot lines in it as well. It's got 2 very distinct plot lines, but it is really heavy on the spice. Another really good example of a book that I love that's very smutty, the plot line isn't super strong the whole way through, is Grimstone by Sophie Lark. I think that that is a fantastic book, and I love me a book that is just pure filth. Give it to me. I have an entire shelf here of pure filth. Yes, some of them do have some plot lines that go on as well, and they fit really well and it works really well, but give me the filth. I think it's okay. I don't think every book needs to have a huge plot line and be turned into a series again. I think that if you want to read a book just for the spice, you should do that, but don't try and sell that book as having a really strong plot line, because it just doesn't. Coming off the back of that, not every book needs spice to be good. Even as an adult book, I think there are some really great YA books out there, some really great YA series out there. I think Powerless, the first book in the Powerless trilogy, fantastic. It's completely YA, no spice, the banter is great. People say that the plotline isn't very good. I actually really enjoyed the plotline. I think it's a great entry-level fantasy for you to get into. It was one of the first fantasy books that I read when I got back into reading last year. So for me, it got a really high rating because of the time. If I went back and read it again, I don't think I'd rate it as high as I did then, but I still think that that's really good, and it didn't need spice to be good and enjoyable and, you know, an enjoyable read. Another one that I'm going to talk about is a complete YA romance book, which is Rival Darling by Alexandra Moody. I have it just here. Rival Darling by Alexandra Moody. This has no spice. It's complete YA. We're literally talking about like 17 and 18-year-olds. They're in high school. You know, it's a romance book, but it is done so well. You don't need spice to enjoy a book. This book got a 5-star rating from me. So I don't think every book needs to have spice to be 5-star worthy. My next hot take is giving a rating on a book you DNF'd. It shouldn't You shouldn't. You cannot fully rate a book that you did not finish. I think it's fine to leave a review and explain why you DNF the book, but rating it, no. You can't rate it a 1 star when you didn't finish it, because there might have been something in the end of the book. DNFing a book is totally fine, but I think rating it is no. We shouldn't be rating books that we DNF. I don't rate books that I DNF. It is even in my like rating journal. I don't have like a rating in there for books that I DNF, because I don't think that we should be. I just don't think that we should be rating books, because it affects their ratings on Goodreads and you didn't finish the book, so you don't have the whole picture of the book. Sorry. My next hot take is tagging authors in your negative reviews. I think that is just poor behavior. I don't think that anyone should be trying to drag someone else down. It's fine for you to give your review, even if it's negative, but you don't need to go out of your way to try and get that author to see your negative review. They worked really hard on that book and that's their baby. Like, why would you want to try and attack someone? That's what it comes across as, you trying to attack that person for their work. And I just don't think that that is acceptable behavior. So put your review out there, but you just don't need to be tagging authors in your poor review of their book. This next one is gonna really ruffle some feathers. Just because you like to read doesn't mean you should write. Now, what I mean by this is, I have read some really great books by indie authors, like really have. I would also love to try to write a book one day. Do I think that I would ever actually put it out to publish it? No, not at all. Because I don't think that I could compete with people that have gone to university and studied English literature and all that stuff, creative writing and that process. I couldn't do that. No, I don't think that every person that loves reading should write a book and should become an author. I think we should leave that to people that know what they're doing, because the book community and the book market is becoming so flooded with so many books, and publishers are just trying to push out stuff that they think will sell really good rather than pushing out good quality writing. I would much rather read a book that has really great quality writing and might be something that I might not read very often, rather than a book with a whole bunch of tropes that I usually enjoy but the writing's really poor. Just my take. That's my opinion. I think that there is definitely such thing as quality in books, and I think that reading quality is way better than reading something that people think you'll enjoy. I said what I said. The next one I have kind of makes me giggle, because I'm definitely guilty of this. Even though I have just gotten rid of a whole bunch of books, I'm definitely guilty of doing this myself. But buying books faster than what you can read them, I think is totally fine. I think it's good to have a selection of books to be able to pick from, especially if you're a mood reader. I'm a really big mood reader. I read depending on what I feel like. Sometimes I feel like a fantasy, sometimes I feel like a cozy book, sometimes I feel like something that's really high stakes, sometimes I want a dark romance, sometimes I want a thriller, sometimes I want a paranormal. I am a massive mood reader, so for me, having a big selection of books really helps, because I can pick what I want to read. Yes, I do monthly TBRs, but if I don't want to read anything on the TBR, I have a huge selection of like 50 books up here that I can read if I want to. So I think that buying books faster than you can read them is totally fine. I think that's totally fine. But don't blame me for your bad spending habit, okay? Yes, I said that it's fine, but you're still choosing to do it if you can't afford it, so that's your own fault. My next one is small town romances are not all they're cracked up to be. I know that like people love small town romances, but they're really not for me. And I don't think that they are worth what some of these people say that they're worth. I understand that people just like a little sweet romance. However, I just don't think that they're as amazing as people say that they are. So my next one is books need to have high stakes. Now, for me, I am a huge fantasy reader. I'm also a really big dark romance reader. So in those two genres, you generally tend to have really high stakes in the books, which means that it's, you know, the plot is a little bit like faster paced. The feelings you get in the book, you know, you kind of have like a little bit of anxiety, or you have a lot of anticipation for something. I think that books having high stakes is necessary. And the next one, I know people have said this all the time, and it's gonna sound super funny coming from me, but dog earring pages, cracking spines, doodling in your books, totally fine. I am not someone that likes to crack spines or dog ear pages, and if anyone did that to my books, I would absolutely lose my mind. However, if you want to do that to your books, that's totally fine. I annotate my books, I doodle in my books. I love that for my books, because if I ever want to go back and read them again, I have little annotations in there and commentary from me, and I think that's totally fine. People have bought my annotations from books, so I think, you know, it's totally fine. I am totally okay with you cracking a spine in a book if you want to crack the spine in your book, but I am not someone that will do that. I have one book where I intentionally cracked the spine and I hate how it looks on my shelf because it is It's Twisted Games. You can see right down the center it is cracked because instead of relaxing the spine, I just kind of did that. It doesn't want to crack like it used to. When I go to open it down the middle like that, it doesn't like crack open like it used to when I first did it, but you can still see the like crease down the back of the spine, and I hate the way that looks on my shelves. That's a personal opinion, that's a personal preference for the way I like my bookshelves to look. I used to dog ear pages, so again, that doesn't really bother me, but now preferably I prefer not to do any of those things. I use a bookmark. I'll go get a bookmark. I'm usually annotating, so I'll just use my tabs as a bookmark, those sorts of things. So if you want to dog ear your pages and crack your spine and, you know, throw your book halfway across the room, totally fine. I've thrown books halfway across the room because I couldn't stand what I was reading and literally went, that's fine. You do you. You paid for them. You get to choose what you do with them. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. So that was 10 of my bookish hot takes. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. I know that this is a relatively quick one. I didn't want to do too many. If you guys did enjoy the video and you want me to do another one, I can obviously do another one. But yeah, that is it for today's video. If you guys don't already follow me on TikTok and Instagram, they'll be linked on the screen as well as in the description below as well. If you want any annotated books by me, my Etsy shop will be linked on the screen as well as a direct link to my site in the description box below as well. If you did enjoy this video, make sure you like. If you want me to do another one, comment down below and I will definitely organize to do another one for you. And that is the end of today's video. Make sure you guys stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell because we do have Bookmas coming. Bookmas will be here in a couple of weeks from when you guys are seeing this video. If you can see the background, ignore it. I'm already filming Bookmas content, so we are decorated for that. So ignore it for the time being. Don't look, don't look, don't look. But yeah, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Mwah.